the general consensus from people who have seen them say, "Oh, these are works of art," you know. So instead of it just being a totally utility thing in the back in our backyard, they're kind of unusual little pieces of artwork. So
Right. Well, what strikes me is what a beautiful location you have. When I originally saw the photos of your garden and then the mountains in the background that you
yeah.
sent the picture here, it was just amazing. What a beautiful picturesque place that you live.
Oh, it's fantastic. You know, we're just right within walking distance of the borders of Zion National Park, and it's an interesting and beautiful environment here. Challenging, and as you can imagine, to do any gardening in the desert, but hence the need for these things.
Yeah, that's amazing. You are in the desert. I mean, it really doesn't look like a whole lot supposed to be growing there, right? At least what you're
Uh,
trying to grow.
no, things have to be pretty drought tolerant, and everything out here has its own defense. Hardly a plant out here without some thorn or something. So to grow vegetables is kind of an exotic little hobby.
Yeah. And to match the landscape, I mean, really and truly, your raised beds and then what you did with conduit and our product really look great. I love a lot of things about it. The fact that you painted it, and then when I saw the hinge mechanism, it was really impressive. So well done.
Well, thank you. I was flattered that you guys liked it. I had this concept in my mind, and my wife was wondering if we even wanted to bother gardening because last year everything got eaten alive, and I just had this idea, and then I found you guys online and thought this is the answer to what I want to do. So it was so cool. I want to commend you guys for that. It was awesome. The parts were fun to work with. In fact, building the frames was really the fun part. You know, the wiring and all that was tedious, but I'm sure with all the talent I've seen with some of your other builders, others may find more efficient ways to put wire on conduit and all that stuff. But man, that was tedious, but it was fun. It was a hobby, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad you found us and I'm glad it worked out well for you. I think, builders like yourself and the community in general find interesting ways to tackle problems like that, and I'm sure someone will come up with a better way to attach, the material to the frame. But yeah, that's part of the fun, I think, is sharing those ideas. And I appreciate you being open to sharing those. Is this a new garden for yourself, or is it something you've been doing for a while?
It's new. The garden, the raised bed portions were things that we did. I did last year, kind of a COVID project. You know, everybody's not doing a lot, and so we thought, well, this ought to work. We'll get these beds built, and only to find out how many critters wanted to get in and eat everything. You know, and we have a lot of friends over in more down in the town of Springdale. They're down closer to the river bottom, and a lot of them love gardening, and they've been so impressed. I've had a lot of people come and see what we've done, and so it's getting around pretty fast of what some of the options are.
Oh,
But
good. Well, thanks for
yeah, so I'm
sharing
not
that.
an experienced gardener, but having a lot of fun with it, learning more every year.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you're growing?
Uh, the one section that the little one, that's the vegetables in there. We've got, maybe some of these plants will outgrow the space, but they'll just have to live under the confines of these protectors. But I have some tomato plants and some cucumbers. Now, that little single box there's the herbs. So we've got some basil and cilantro and parsley and oregano and just the chives and all this goofy stuff in there. That's just the herb garden. And then the other one is the vegetables. But it's funny how much if you once you kind of learn to do it, how much efficiency we could feed the neighborhood once we get better at this. Not, but it's just my wife and me for now.
Oh, well, it looks like you're doing great. They look like they're doing well.
Yeah, and in the pictures there, if it helps anybody who might want to do something like this, as you can see, I've shimmed the hinges up a little bit. to compensate for the rotation of the 90-degree corners because the tubing rotates, but there's that the square edge of the outside corner, and that it just gets it off the wood deck a little bit, so it'll rotate all the way.
Hmm.
That's why it's kind of done that way. But, and I noticed you guys have the one hole hold downs, and in this case, I had to use the two hole for those hinges, but they work quite easily.
Right. I really like that you added this piece of wood shim, if I'm not mistaken, right? And then just
That's
attached
right.
it there, which elevated everything off because you do have, the connectors protrude a little bit outside of the
Mhm.
diameter a little bit. But that's great. What kind of critters are you protecting against?
What we have here, a variety of birds.
Mm.
Their pinion jays and robins will come in and pick at the little veggies, or they'll or quail will dig holes in the gardens. We have rock squirrels and chipmunks that will eat. They'll tear things apart just to get at the seeds. But the biggest pests we had to worry about are the cottontail rabbits. So they can destroy a garden overnight. So that's
Yeah,
been it's always something out here. But it's really fun because those little gaps under the around the corners of those have allowed just enough to let little lizards. We have a lot of lizards around here, and they just kind of go in and eat the bugs. So it's kind of a perfect symbiosis.
oh, that's unexpected. That's great.
Isn't
Good
that
to hear.
funny? Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't expect it either. But the
Right.
chipmunks and even the smallest rock chipmunks can't get in, and the birds can't come in. So that's what's good. We've had friends down the street that have tried to grow down on the river bottom. They've even gone to the extent of trying to grow grapevines, and they put netting over their plants, but the birds get under them and everything. So this was the solution.
Boy, yeah. In the desert, the animals are looking for an easy meal, I'm sure, even more
Oh
so
yeah,
than in other environments.
yeah.
So,
They're going through. We're going through a drought here too, so they're extra desperate.
right, they're hunting and gathering. Well, great, and it's working. It sounds like you're. Have you had any intrusions or any
No,
breaches?
no breaches, no crimes of opportunity or breaches. It's gone well. It has been working. It's so great now because now I can go out and feel free to start things from seed in the gardens, as opposed to the past where I'd have to think about starting things indoors or in little peat pods or something because the seedlings are too delicate and the birds were going to chew them up anyway. And so now, it's offered us a lot of freedom that way.
Oh, that's good. That's neat to hear that it's changing your process by having that protection. Very cool. Um, you've sent over a lot of great photos and detailed photos. Um, would you mind kind of talking us through how you went about the build and maybe some of the finer points?
Sure. I first of all, I just looked at those. It was a long time just staring at the garden space, just thinking, how am I going to protect these things, or what should I do? And my wife said, this is if this becomes too much work, we'll just throw some flowers out there and forget it because it just felt like an ongoing battle. But anyway, I just kept thinking, what can I make in terms of a little frame? And then I don't know. I kept thinking something I can lift, something I can use easily. And this came to mind. And then I thought, what could I make out of tubing? And I started looking around at EMT. And then I can't remember exactly how I found you guys, but I thought, oh, this can work. Maybe it's going to work. Maybe it's not. And I put a lot of, but I just made this plan. I sketched it out on paper and bought the parts. And fortunately, I ordered just the right amount of parts from you guys. I didn't miss anything, and your order came complete, which is sweet these days, as orders so often get messed up by somebody. But anyway, that we it began from there, and the process was kind of this plan, this design. I thought, okay, how do I make the these parts work together? And so when I saw what was available with your four-way, your 90-degree four ways, I thought, well, there's the answer to the corners of the frames, and then the T connections were the answer to the hoops that the ribs. and your shims were perfect. I wanted to make these things as light as possible. So as you could see, I used the bigger, the regular 3/4 EMT on the hinge bar, but the rest was just shimmed or adapted into the 1/2 inch EMT, and it worked great. And
Oh,
that handle you saw there was just a that was just a garage door handle, metal handle. They call it a garage door handle at Ace Hardware. You know, it was really kind of the I just tap screwed it into the right into the EMT, and it worked really well. But anyway, so I got a nice bender, and uh, electricians use for 1/2 inch EMT since I was only bending half in this case. And I followed the directions on that. Unlike an electrician, I haven't had much experience bending EMT, but the trick for any builder who wants to do this, it works great. Just be patient and be precise when you're placing the markers on the bender. So you get all. I was lucky; all my ribs came out, pretty nice and close. But I was kind of meticulous that way. And then the wiring, the mesh is less than perfect, but I bought these big rolls of 1/2 inch hardware cloth in the 48-inch wide rolls. And fortunately, I'm a retired contractor. I had a bunch of other goofy tools. So I had these electric nippers that I was able to run through and cut my mesh pretty quickly. But then to get it, it's less than perfect in its weave. And so to get it to lay out on top of those ribs it took some patience, but it worked out great.
yeah, it really looks, you took the time with the details and it came out looking the part. It really did. I love the bends and how you use that to create that curved on the top, but a sturdy base. It just looks great too. I know it's functional, and that's what you were going for. But boy, with that background and the color match, tell me about. Did you just spray paint everything once you got it up?
I wanted to, and then my cup sprayer, the regulator on my compressor was off, so I ended up having to do it all by hand. It was brush and roll, so it took a lot of patience. It was a little tedious, but my wife was said, "Oh, these are nice looking. I'm happy. I don't care if you want to paint them or not." And I said, let's. We probably should. They're going to be silver. Let's finish them off, and then later the general consensus from people who have seen them say, "Oh, these are works of art." So instead of it just being a totally utility thing in our backyard, they're kind of unusual little pieces of artwork. So
Right. Yeah, and boy, it fits into the neighborhood decor because it seems like the architectural style and the colors in your part of the country is to match the surroundings, right? To blend in as
oh
much as
yeah,
you can.
great that you noticed that because yeah, we're in a kind of a cool place where there is a close attention paid to colors people use because we are at the edge of a national park in a pretty place where we're trying to make things all look good in general and fit into the surroundings. And our town of Springdale has a pretty fussy color palette, that people have to stick to even in building their homes. But so it's like, yeah, our mission is to fit in and not stand out. So
Mm. Yeah, because what a beautiful vista, and you have to look twice to see the homes in the corner here, right in the valley.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it would be a shame to take the focus away from what a beautiful spot you live in. That's really
yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah, we love it. But it is that's the plan is to blend in and not stick out and look out of place.
right. Yeah, and then thanks for sending a couple videos too. We've got you live, but here I think it's neat because you demonstrated. I've got the sound turned off, but
Good.
you demonstrated the hinge and how you can lift up the protection.
Yeah, they're so light. I'm
Mm.
so pleased with how they turned out.
It is
But
surprising how light the conduit structure can be. I do that. I build something and then I'm surprised. Oh, this really isn't that heavy.
yeah, yeah, I was just we were so pleased, with how that all turned out. But I got to say, what's nice too is, I lift them, I move them around, there has been no racking or movement. The parts are fantastic. I just got to say that.
Well,
Yeah, you guys have some really cool stuff because they're just they don't. There's no movement or racking or anything, which I love.
well, good. Thank you. I'm glad you have enjoyed them and it works out good. Um, and then when you're working in the garden, you have a human trap, just
Yeah,
to stick, right?
yeah. It's funny. In fact, I'm thinking, well, what I can probably do later when I want to open them up to 90 degrees, or it'd be really not that hard to take the whole cover off if I really need to service the dirt and turn it and add stuff. But the way these are working, I can crank them clear back. I think if I want to, so I can access, the to do what I need to do. But
Right.
I just like the fact that I can move them out, change parts out if I had to, or any of that.
Hmm. Yeah. In looking at it, the hinge mechanism, I didn't realize at first that you used full 3/4 where the hinge was. That's really smart. And then used the shims to adapt down to 1/2 inch. Uh,
Yeah. And I probably could have used, I just thought, it'd be fun to make them all out of 3/4, or I could have used half on the hinge bar, but the, it was just funny the way I thought about, maybe that bar, since it's going to be sort of the best moving part, I'll just go ahead and stick with the heavier bar there.
yeah, I can tell you definitely thought this through. That's great. Um, how how did the bar move as a hinge? Do they just swivel inside of the strap?
Yeah. Yeah, they just rotate right inside of those tie downs, and they rotate quite easily. There's really no resistance. I wasn't sure even how that was going to be, but it's very smooth. The action's really easy.
Oh, good. Well, any other thing that you'd like to point out, Kelly, about the build?
I'm trying to think. I took some notes. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss saying some things. Let's see. It seems like we covered it. The hinge stuff. I was really happy with how the shims worked out. I want to say that they
Hmm.
just snapped right on, and these covers in particular. If somebody wanted to build something like them, they can double as a shade protector, or you could put heavy visqueen over them, protect from frost and all that. So they're pretty functional. But I'm looking forward to doing some more things, because there are a lot of other things besides gardens that I'm interested in, some storage racks. And so, anyway, I'm pretty having a lot of fun with your site. I got to tell you that.
Oh, good. Well, I thank you for the interest and sharing your build. It really came out great, and sharing also your backyard because that is quite a sight. So we
Well,
appreciate it, Kelly. Thank you very much.
yeah. Well, thanks a lot. It's been fun to be with you guys, and anything in the future, I'll keep you apprised of what we're doing.
Yeah, please do throw it on the community or send it to us directly. We'd love to
Perfect.
see it. And
Okay.
is there anything else I can do for you?
Right now, no. This has been fun though. I'm good, and again, I'm happy to be. I'm honored to share this stuff with you guys. It's been fun.
Well, good. Well, thank you again, Kelly. Thanks for your time. And if there's anything I can do for you, or if you have any questions or anything in the future, don't hesitate to ask.
Sweet. Thanks, Dave. I
Uh,
appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day.
We'll see you later.
Bye.